Good evening. Let us start this session with a silent prayer. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for the seventh day session of the Professional Development Program. And to introduce the resource person for the day, Dr. Sridhar Sir. He is serving as a faculty in finance and accounting domain and successfully passed UGC NET examination at twice. He has done PhD in the area of finance and he has published more than 15 research papers in leading referred national and international journals. He has attended and presented research papers in various international seminars and undergone workshops conducted by the leading institutions such as IIT, IIM Kozhikode, Wellington Institute, BIM and ASBM and NIDA Thailand. He has served as a content writer and subject matter expert in the two education solutions company. His field of interest in the research, behavioral finance, derivative markets, and corporate events. Having said all that, we are extremely happy to have had the opportunity to have him as a resource person for today's session. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. Now, I hand over the session to Sridhar, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for warm introductions. Good evening, one and all present here. So I'd like to take a topic on research report writing and publication in index journals. This is what my topics today I'm going to cover. Let me explain what is research report writing. Before that, I just start how I'm going to proceed. Okay. So, yeah. Topics that I like to cover: the research paper, research report writing, research paper writing in index journals, and question and answers. This is what my today's theme I'm going to discuss. And the question and answers, I've been expecting everyone can, whatever the queries that you're having, so I can able to answer whatever you have been you can be raise the questions. So it's a pleasure to have your questions. So please ask more questions so that it will be more interactive. I'll also be known to know very various facts and figures that related to the research. That is an opportunity from you. Okay, introductions. So the true laboratory is the mind where behind the illusions we uncover the laws of the truth. J.C. Bose. He see that the Jagadish Chandra Bose, yes, starting with the physics, biophysics, biology, botany, Bengali literature, Bengali science and fictions, and various fields he has been covered, and he has invented this the graph, which is the device measuring the plants, growth of the plants. So the research, something which is giving a different kinds of the intuitions, and we will not be restricted with the one field. At least maybe the marketing professors can be having a high intuition on the finance sides, and the finance professors may have a high intuition with the other fields, production fields. Likewise, there is the research may not end with or restricted only for this what your field is selected. There's something you want to know. So everyone has the intuition to know many things. So why it's happening? So for example, this in the pandemic situation, the gold prices continuously increases. So what's the result? You can be able to find out. So why the people are preferring this gold as an safe investments? There are the other investment tools are there. They're close to the even the, but why people are referring that? So likewise, you can ask many questions. In these questions, all the time you can expect the answers. You have been expecting the answers. So how this can be derived the answers? So the answers should be with your facts and figures. It should not be biased. That is what we are always expecting. The research is something which gives the get to know something which is facts and figures through the making an attempts. So we need to make an attempt. We need to invest our time. We need to invest our time and cost. Then we can get to know some informations. Every times this is what. So even you want to know the the matrimonial. So the if we are good, taking what opportunities to get the best person. So you have been investing a time and cost. Am I right? This is what the research also. So research is something you wanted to make an investment your time, and you are having, and whatever the doubts and clarifications that can be clarified through the your research attempts. And the research report, which is what is research report writing, which is this a typically a writing in science or academic, which discusses an idea and the investigation of certain topics, which you can see. And certain topic, the research proposal outlines the process from the beginning to end and may be used to request the financing for the project certifications and performing certain parts of the research of the experiment as a required task before beginning a college dissertations. See, that will be always you have been inquiring. The inquiry is there to you have an idea to how to emphasize that. Even the people who are in the market research field, that in the sense who wants to establish a business in particular domain, a particular region, they are also making attempts. That's the ideas. There are the new entrepreneurs has an ideas how to implement. So he is making an research and investigations. You have been making an investigation on a certain topic. So topic can be derived from your own experience. It is a completely on the freedom of choice. You can choose that anything which you like it. And especially if you see that the proposing a PhD title or MPhil or dissertation titles, mainly it is the university says that you can take your topics and your whatever the fields that you have been like. So in this case, most of the academicians, we like our fields and we decide our fields, and we have been just communicating. There is a research guides, and we get to know many informations, and then we have finalized the topics, and we go like this. Otherwise, so in the academic, apart from the academic research, you have been making some kind of research attempts independently. How we can come to know the facts and what whether am I going the right way, am I going in the right field. So you nowadays the even a new education policy says that what is that the collaborative research, you have to more focusing on the collaborative research rather than the individually you stand and your own ideas, it may not be having much effect. That's what collaborative research, you have to go with the science has to be matched with the economy, and then only you can come to know this the complete picture of a knowledge. It's not like a one particular domain people do a research and give a opinion that may not be very sense. It's a more collaborative research nowadays. And what is the report's characteristics? The formal style and the proof of reading with a careful note, reading with a well-ordered presentation, introduction and body and conclusion, analytical thinking. This is what I expected. Formal style. What is the formal style? You are being addressing to someone who is the reader. You have been respecting your readers. That's what very important. Yeah, it is a give and take. So he is giving a reader is giving a respect, and at the same time you are giving the respect to the readers. And the proofreading with a careful note. So there are the error correct the errors which is spelling errors and grammaticals that you like to correct. So maximum without much corrections you have been presenting without much errors you have been presenting, so that it be the readers can understand whatever you have been communicating, it reached to them. So that you'll have the what is the deliberation may be the fruitful one. The reading and well ordered presentations, very reading, it's very well ordered presentation. It's very important how you have been precisely giving the orders, which is when addressing to the any uh, public audience, public forums. You know that how you need to address, that be always you need to understand the pulse of the pulse of the audience, how it is. So nowadays this is very important, public addressings. Likewise, it is very important while writing also how to make us attention seekings. as a readers. It was seen that in the page called in every newspaper editorial columns. The editorial columns mostly, which is what it will be. Editorial columns will be one particular topics. The author will describe his own views and comments, and that will be more into discussion orient deliberations. The others need to be given points. So the authors will keep his points and views, and the later it will be what you call it, it is completely free to read the others and give their opinions. It is completely discussion oriented. And the news, which is we what you see that take a newspaper. News is just an we have been observing. We are not having any commenting on that. So what is that? Yeah, the news, which is what is the informations we are taking the information, how the each newspaper has been rated, how they are communicated well. That is what how they communicated well, what the information they've been precisely they concisely they've been delivering. That is what the very important. Here also your thesis has been dissertation has been valued based on how you have been orderly presenting the informations. The introductions and body and conclusions. Introductions. So when you take a topic or theme, you need to present introductions, because basic narrations is important. Sometimes you might you're expecting the audience need to be understand the theme of a concept, something which is new concept. You can describe more the whole concept which is already familiarized. You need not to be more into technical details. You need not to give the introduction side and the body and conclusions. So the body and conclusion, anyway, I'm going to give this. What are the things which has been inclusive of as a report, review of literatures, and then problem state, the problem statement, then the methodology, data methodology, all those things you have to take, right? This is what it goes. It is just like process oriented. So once you draw the theme, then a topic, then you can proceed like a next one. Okay, you have to narrow down. So you can keep a different ideas, different uh, the theme. What you have to narrow down. How you can narrow down? Which is the you need to read that. Okay, that is what the read the others. Views through their they made already the existing researchers made an attempt, their views and comments you have to receive, and then from there, if you are able to conceive the better ideas, you can present it. That is what always expected. Am I right? You see that any evolutions you see in the economy or physics or any subject that you've been seeing, always there is a evolution, there is a criticism strong, the constructive criticism always will be there. The author is not the researcher is not observe these points, or it's nothing wrong. It is nothing wrong. As a researcher, we cannot take a 100% the observation. See, that's what we always say, that even the top companies, they sometimes see, you can see that US economy, the crisis in 2007, the US economy, the people, the huge economists, and they are every times the US economists are receiving the one or the other years they're receiving their Nobel prizes, and you see that they are not able to uh, proceed and forecast their state of economy. That is, they are going to face this crisis, or this is what the major crisis and the American going to face. Likewise, they're not able to uh, recognize, or what you say, that it is they're not able to focus. It is completely at the out of game. It is, we can have certain the within the it is within the scope we are playing. We are not go beyond that. That is what always. So any forecasting, any something that you have been trying to uh, seeing that the forecasting thing that is having a limitations. You have to understand that. And the research reports and how we proceed this introductions and the research aims and questions have been developed. And the review of literature takes to the next level the project designs, the timeline, expected outcomes, and impact. This is just in a the project that you have been leading. You see, you have been going with the introductions, the background, significance of the study, all those have been keeping in the mind, and you have been proceeding. So there is a state, always you need to keep the points in the introductions where what you want to keep the ideas to the readers, so that the readers will go along with you. So somewhere it is mismatching. So you have like to say something, but the readers get to know something from your interpretations. It may not in the right sense. That is the reasons you have to go along with this. So the readers need to go along with your views and the parts of the reports. The background or introductions, the purpose and scope of limitations, the statement of the problem, research objectives, research hypothesis, review of literatures, research methodology, resource plan and time schedule, outline of organization, annexes and appendices. So these are the main area which you have been having this research report. You started with the like a just like a reverse pyramid. It started with the top interactions and end with the conclusions and things, which is very sharp edge. That is, so you have been taking a reverse pyramid, and what is that? You have been introduction will be the top, and then next will be the review of literatures. There, you have been making a more and more filterize and giving an concrete answers. That is what always are expected. You've been seeing that the any research, the good research are expected to give a concrete answers. That's what we are expecting. Right? Do I need to invest? Do I shall I proceed further? Likewise, it is what the answers are expected in a common life. So this is what you see that the which one is Covishield is good or Covaxin is good, or which one do I proceed? The people are having in mindsets which is which one should I proceed? Now there are the researchers are going research is going on, and they're telling that this is what the composition. So if you are like to take this, so at this age or this case history, medical case history, you can take this vaccine. Likewise, they have been giving that. Okay, doctors are doing a research and giving them based on their composition, the medical composition what they used. All right, this is what actually are expecting. You do the research. The research you need to give the the outcomes which what you want to do. So the conclusion should be, that's very important points. Any research that is conclusions should be drawn considering all the discussion one by from the introduction to till your findings, all those things it has to be considered. From there you have to draw the conclusions, the big pictures, which is the proposal you have been described. What you have to see that you have proposed a plan of what you intend to study, the scope and research questions. The very important, what you like to take in the sense a topic or theme, which is something which is contemporary. That is what we always say in the researchers. You take a topic which is it should not be outdated. The outdated may not be the people may not interested to listen. Today is that the education feels completely changed. It is blend teachings. People are more into the nowadays educational views are completely changed. That we cannot uh, talk about the more into the traditional systems, because the traditional system it's a what it is in our challenge in front of our challenges there. We cannot focus on the traditional system and give the more into the research. Now what is the challenge? So how we can be proceed, what kind of tool will make you more attentions to the students? Likewise, it is challenges will be bring, what kind of examination system will be more interactive? Likewise, the in front of many questions there in researchers, why to study on this issues, the background. You need to take up the background. Why we need to conduct a study and what it makes to you. So, is that a personal observations, which is something it's happening outside of the world, which I want to test, or something like you need to contribute. It may be the see, research, maybe like intuition, maybe the social connectivity. I've seen many students used to say take a project topics. Say I'm more interested to know this. It's a best answer, which is because that is what actually whatever we taught to the college molding the students, and they come out with some kind of a concrete ideas. They want to test that, is that happening the same, or is that does not the industries are uh, following the some of the standard, what is there, is that relevance is there, what I'm it's something like the people are taking a research, and the background has been tested. The background
Sir,
and
your voice is breaking, sir. It's very low also.
okay, one minute.
Okay.
How you intend to study your topic or methodology? Is that fine, ma'am? The voice is fine, or
Yes,
still?
sir. Yes, sir. It's now okay.
I've just switch off my video, ma'am. Is that fine?
Okay, sir. It's okay.
Yeah. Why this topic needs to be studied? The significance, the methodology, which is how you intend to study your topic. That is called the methodology. The why this topic needs to be studied, significance, when you will complete this work, the timelines. So you can able to see that what, why, how, why, when. It is a composition of 5W1H. 5W1H, you have been any see that's what always they keep in the media, in the print media or any media. That's how they present the news. They follow the standard that 5W1H. So in the research also, we need to try to cover up the 5W1H. What, why, when, how. These are the things which we have tried to cover up. Then it will be more interesting. It will have more life. That is what very important. When you cover up, see, there are the research who made an attempt 20 years back. Still, people are referring that. Why? Because it is something which is having the futuristic approach. It is completely on the futuristic approach. They whatever they given an idea, it's very futuristic approach. That's what it is having a lifetime. There are some research may not have a lifetime. That's what they always the index journals they haven't. They're always focused on the how the quality of a research. Does it have a life? That is what they've been checking more. When you'll complete the work line, that is timeline is very important, and that is uh, it is as in we have to cover up this and within the time frame. So we cannot anything which is realistic. That is what I'm telling about. And the problem statement, how we can process the problem statement. Start with the general statement or the problem or the issues, which is whatever the issues you have been connecting, your own experience or the something, your own experience which comes from the various sources. You have been academic experiences or something like newspapers say some informations that you have been having an intuitions, you want to proceed further. You have a freedom of taking a narrowed down as a problem statement. The problem statement, it should be the very actual one. For example, you have been talking about this something like tribals community or the Naxalites community. What is their real problems? You cannot be make uh, sit yourself and whatever you have been assumed and make a statement that may not be right one. It makes a unclear views, which is the people also may not able to connect. So what is required here? You need to focus on the more into the review of literatures, which was already the existing review of literatures. You have to focus, and if possible, the brainstorming you can collect. Suppose if you are something like a industrial, something is a new topic or new theme you want to know. So brainstorming will help. Say any of the sources, you can get the problem statement. The problem statement should match with the realistic. It does not come like sitting in one place and writing and whatever we have been assumed. That is not correct. And make sure the context of the problem is very clear. The problem should not be very, we cannot be make it very generic here. We should keep that with our available language. What because we have a decent in way to address the problems. It is not like we cannot make any controversial over here. That is very important. So the language is no abusing language. But abusing language, it makes no controversials. The references, cite the references which the problem was stated previously, provide the justification on the research to be conducted, motivates the conduct of proposed research, highlight the problems and demerits of the available techniques. You can keep into the mind all those things. Because they cite the reference, it's very important. Someone idea we have been using, we need to acknowledge their work, hard work. And if you are not doing that, there is something is unethical. Am I right? The ethical considerations. As a researcher, we should go with that ethical considerations. And then literature survey. If you focus on the literature survey, depending on the literature survey, just someone might be experienced with this. Many research paper has been produced. Google is not ultimately end product that review of literatures. Literature surveys the context of thesis. Thesis should be based on the original research. Unintentional duplication is not acceptable. To gain knowledge of the background, work to establish a context your work. To questions point out an anomaly and gaps. It's just very important. What you have to, we cannot do that. It is something duplication we cannot. We can have we can have an inspire, because today the all the movies that you see, that's something which is inspired from the so and so movie. Inspirations is nothing wrong. Inspirations, you can take the inspiration of the paper and then you can proceed the further. So something you have been seeing in the Europe, and the same thing how it has been happened. So it doesn't in India. So what is the status? Like if you see that the accounting scam, which is the company which is just in the Europe, you've been taking that topic, and you like to same the inspirations you have been proceeding in Indian context. It's nothing wrong in that, because yours is original research, which means you are just inspired. You have been taking their views. So only thing what you have to do, you have to cite. You have to cite their ideas. You've been inspired, and you can, whenever you have been using is the the informations from their thesis, and then you have to cite. That is what is expected. And the questions of anomalies and gaps, you can the very well, if you are able to give an anomalies and gaps, what is the missing, and anything which has not been discussed. Because always we used to talk in the and the statistics, something which is the when you propose a model, the error term will be disclosed. What is the error term? Which is something which is undisclosed or identified variables. All right. So similarly, it is something you have been found that the anomalies are gaps. You can do that. You can propose that. That is very important from the review of literature's context. The sources of review of literatures. The primary sources, the periodical research reports, conference proceedings, official publications, standards, theses, and dissertations to be published works. Secondary sources, compilations, reviews and reference books, handbooks, encyclopedia, dictionaries, textbooks, monographs, indexing and abstracting services, tertiary services, directories, yearbooks, and bibliographies. Take this the primary sources. I'm just making here the primary for the convenience purpose I made here, because you can take any of the sources which is sources of review of literatures, primary sources and secondary to make your convenience. Some terminology we have to understand before we proceed. ISBN, ISSN, DOI, UDC, RAS, the impact factor, citation index, all those things we should be aware of this. And the functions of the review. So you should understand you're not going to reinventing anything which is the system which was not there. Already there are many arguments were there. So if people are, we have been talking about some systems, it might be and 100 years ago might be spoken. See, it's not like a one, it is addressed today. That is what sometimes we understood that something which has been very new. And give credit to those who have led the groundwork of your research. That's what I've been mentioned here. They ensure that you're not reinventing the wheel. something which has not been proposed. So what we are not going to something which is new at all. So you see that we have been stating that it is new to the world market. Cannot state, no, you cannot say the product which any company which offers. This says that with an advertisement, this product is new to the world market. No one else has been proposed before that. It is not like that. So because there were many the products which was the company would have been tried to introduce, but that they've been able to make succeed. But thing is, you have been focusing on the review of literature, something like a groundwork that you have been doing, and getting a knowledge that is very important here. Demonstrates your understanding of theoretical research issues related to your research questions, and so show your ability to critically evaluate relevant literature information, indicates your ability to integrate and synthesize the existing literatures, provides a new theoretical insights, or develops a new model, conceptual framework of your research, convinces your reader that your proposed research will make a significant and substantial contribution to the literatures. Theoretical issues are filling a major gap in the literatures. See, it is finally what it is we have been observing the review of literatures. We major gap we try to find out. It can be the anomalous, the concept wise it has differ. The time periods lapse, something which was it was see if you've seen in commerce and the field with the accounting related research were very limited. Because that's the reason we are not able to propose any kind of a model. Because even see the accounting the Indian the standard board, which we are not able to make any new inventions in the accounting sites. The commerce in the accounting sites were very weakened to proceed further because there is no concrete or what do you say, the series of research on a particular domain, particular topic. It does not happen. So that's the reason it is more focusing on. We have been just adopting whatever the international boards and other boards are emphasizing. We are without exploring whether it suits for our Indian companies. We are not able to experience this. We just adopt. That's what many times we have been experienced. The writing of literature review is adequately criticize the design and methodology of important studies so that readers can draw their own conclusions. Compare and contrast studies. Note for conflicting and inconclusive results. Explicitly show the relevance of each of the problem statement. Summary of including these statement. Identify the gaps. See, understanding here, they identify the gaps and proposing any hypothesis that basically from the review of literatures. Yeah, you can make a review of literature as an what do you call it? And as a benchmark. Sorry, you can take as what do you call it? It's an index. From there, you can derive the more informations. That so what is the very important? You need to look on the various review of literatures and correctly you have to collect the informations. That's the reason today it is very specifically emphasized which are the articles you have to be focused, where you have to collect the informations. That is very important. You have been focusing on the third level journals. They will be copying materials, just like a copying is a reproducing materials. So already the existing researchers paper that it has been copied and presented here. It may not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and moreover, the researchers may not make very good what do you call no much informations in the research attempts. You'll not gain anything out of this. That is what the and research methodology and procedures, research design and population of the study. Sample and sampling techniques, instrumentations, development of the instrument, validation of the instrument, reliability of the instruments, administration of the instrument, or method of data collection, method of data analysis. So you have been proposing when you are going for the research design, how you can take a research design. What is the method to you have been going to adopt to proceed further? In the sense how you are going to uh, keep your information. That is what the research design. Population of the study and sample and sampling technique. Population of the study, you have to be very careful. What is the population of the study? So what kind of a study that you have been carrying, and what is who is your populations? Who is your population? The target persons. And then see, for example, if you are your study is like experience on the education loan, experience on the education loan. You have been considering the entire students community, those who are not having an experience with the loan, which is education loan, which is generally the people who taken loan now and study. In this context, what is wrong here? You've been admitting all the students are considering the students only your target population. I agree, but here your topic is very emphasized, and those who are experienced with the education loan, then the population might be those who are already taken a loan or about to take a loan, or what that kind of at least they should have an experience. Then you can get their perceptions. This doesn't mean that all the students have made experience this education loan. At least you should have that the context which those who are already availed the loan, or at least they have an approach to the bankers to get the loan. That mind of set people you can get considering as a populations. And the sample and sampling techniques, you've been aware of this, very well aware of this. What is sample and sampling techniques? Sampling techniques, you have been predominantly where we may take either probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Wherever there are collection methods fits, we keep that names. That is what we have been doing. Am I right? We first do that methodology. So we are not proposing which sampling techniques we are going to do, and whatever the or actions will determine the name of a sampling techniques. That is not correct. Actually, you have to know that which sampling techniques in an advance which suits for the to collect the data. If it is justified sampling or simple random sampling is enough to cover up this. So you have to advance state a statement is enough. It is important to proceed further. A development of instrument, you have to develop the instrument. That is very important, how you can ask the questions to others when it's especially the primary data context, how you have been addressing or what the getting a response is very important, and keeping them into engage or see, it's framing a questionnaire is an art. That is what I can say. Framing a questionnaire is an art, and well, getting an opinion is more into opinion from the researchers, the respondents, whatever the given opinions, we have been validating. We are 100% it has been believing. That is what we have been see is especially the social science studies. We don't have any other opinions or satisfactions. We just believe them, that's all. We cannot I cannot see the dream of someone's. That is what actually see what is his satisfactions or experiences or perceptions. He or she can be gives me. So I've been allowing to give a what is that set of questionnaires, and the questionnaire should be very valid one, which is the validation of the instrument phase, contents, perspective. So that's the reason you have to take a which methods are will give the right way of measuring the collecting the informations. Either you are going for the questionnaire or the interview schedule, something which is the very sensitive. You can go for the interview schedules. You cannot ask the so you have to go for sometimes without if you don't have any kind of the judgmental here, you don't know anything on the problems, the actual problems. You can go for the open-ended. So close-ended, you have been aware of this with the structured questions you have been going and collecting the informations. And something which is you're not having an idea, great idea. So tribals see in Andamans, what is the problems are facing, how the government programs are reached to them. You want to test their things, so you want to go there, the places, and visit there and get their opinions and what is actually they needed. You need to enquire them. Okay, you have to go for the personal interview and then get to know all those things. And the reliability of the instruments, you have been taking the reliability. So that is a in statistical way you can be proceeds reliability, how this the question has been constructed, whether it is rightly it is constructed. You can be make a validity here. That is what the reliability test you have been making here. The people quite popular, they everyone are talking about the grandfa alpha, that should be 0.75. So likewise people are always uh, precautionary to while framing the question. That's fine, but the thing is how it may not make a sense when the right way, whether you have been asking the right order that you have been mixing. The right order is it's very important to ask the questions. Administrating the instrument and method of data collections and data analysis methodology. And what is the when the research was done, the when, where, and how the research was done, include the subsection, the informative headings, and the mention the which method tools were used to collect the data, purpose of methodology, how was the data collected and generated, how was it analyzed. In other words, it shows the reader how obtained your results, but to explain you obtain your results, how it has been. So where is that a right way of methodology? So you cannot be in always says in that the colloquial language, you cannot be see the deficiency of horse and donkey. So both are the uh, things. You have to compare the one and another horses. It's not been donkey and horses. You cannot be conclude that horses are more efficient than the donkey. That's not the correct way. So it's something which has been you have been aware of this. The state, the efficiencies, which is already aware of this. You cannot be make a so which is the right comparison is very important. And more into the methodology, how you derive the answers, which is sorry, the solutions, or what you say, it is the conclusions. It always needs to be right methodology. The methodology is very important, how you construct a methodology. There's always statement is there, you have to focus on particular area. For example, in an economics you have been taking that the what do you call the income distributions in the middle income people and the lower level people, how they where they have been uh, distributing more, are they investing in more into the educations or health, where you need to know well, so how they have been savings is how much, so you want to know that. So very well you have been explained that. So you are making a comparative, something like a comparative is fine, but the comparative should have with a meaning. You know that restrictions, the middle income people, you know the definitions, who is the middle income people, who is the lower level income people. So you know the definitions, within that you have to travel. So you cannot mix the groups. So the someone is whose earning is less than $1 per day is called as the below BPL, below poverty line. Likewise, there is a standard definition. You need to proceed according to that. You cannot make. Sometimes you need to go with the standard. And research designs, which is defined, which is framework of methods, techniques, and research that combine various components of research efficiently handle. It provides the insights about how to conduct a research using a particular methodology. That is what we are talking about, the research methodology, research design, how you're proposing, and what way you can. Basically, it is a data and methodology. When the data is sufficient, when the data is adequate, when the data is what you call enough to process further, the methodologies you can draft it accordingly. When the data itself has a problem, then what else? So data is not the right one. It has not been a right way it has been collected. The instrument is wrong, or something else. So the whatever the proposing methodology, it goes waste. It's a similar like how you have been making an attempt. So each process, the wherever the lapse in this research, how you can, you're taking a methodology or data, the right way you need to be conceived. That is very important. After that, you can propose the better methodologies. You can take a statistical tools, better statistical, so right statistical tools that you need to opt. I think they have been covered in the last sessions, which one, non-parametric, parametric, all those things is already covered. So you need to choose the right tools and apply you can to make use of your hypothetical test. So you can propose some kind of hypothetical and make use of that. So hypothetical also should be have the connectivity. Whatever you are taking a variables should have the meaningful variables. That is very important. Statistics doesn't understand. Our computer, we have been proposing two variables, which is completely irrelevant. You have been taking outcomes. It gives the outcomes, but the computers are statistical tools. What we use as PSS and other modern tools, it may not understand. Is it a right way of connectivity? So you should understand that right way of connectivity can happen through your human efforts. The no other efforts can be uh, substitute this. You can ask the questions and try to get the research. Honesty in research, do not embrace by the mistakes. So you did the mistakes, you can try to cover up yourself. There's nothing wrong in that. So it doesn't mean always you need a better answers or better what you call say these answers are varying. So something like don't make any kind of errors is yet fine. The errors we need to mistakes we need to observe and we need to correct ourselves. Research, that's all people are always, even the best researchers whomever you've been addressing, they're still telling that they themselves, I'm learning. That means no one has a complete person. That's what you see, that no one has a complete the researchers which complete knowledge in a particular domain. That is what always you see that the whoever it may be the Amartya Sen, Abhijit Banerjee is from the economist. So all Nobel laureates, they themselves call this, I'm a learner. I'm learning many things. That is what their statement, which means learning is happen through the mistakes. That is what we people need to understand. The fundamental knowledge, the intuitions, knowledge, and how it will be, the knowledge will be proposed. Intuitions, the schools and self-learning, we have been getting knowledge, journals and magazines, brainstorming and conferences. Those are the things. So we need to understand the textbook and the research paper, the difference. The cumulative knowledge of the authors, the collection of experiences. He has been emphasizing a textbook. Textbook doesn't have any kind of a place to making it constructive criticisms. It's suppose if the books are making a best way to educate you, you are going to buy, or it is whether it is prescribed in your university syllabus, then you are going to proceed. Otherwise, the textbook is having that kind of a limitations. The research paper, we normally think that is doing something new, contributing first of all, knowing what is there out in that area, picking out a favorite area, and most importantly, it may be a small contribution, but drops make an ocean. There's only small part of discovery. Each discovering, I told you that there are the each level that we are contributions, it's making to the next level. It is not one particular research will discover everything. Doesn't see, there are a lot of improvements are there, a lot of the the philosophical change. So see, you see that E equal to mc square, how many times it has been tested by the researchers, still the same uh, theory is still working, or is there any kind of a the variations, are they are trying to get a variations in the contemporary world? The people are making attempt. Similarly, you see that Ramanujan, the mathematician Ramanujan's, his contributions, the people are again and again they've been testing this the game theory is against the game theory. The people are testing that. So is that a right way it has been proved, or just like a so they're trying to see that if any kind of the errors are happened, or the it is rightly has been proved, it is still it has happened that. So likewise, it is attempt we have been testing. So The pilot study, work plan, and references appendices. The pilot study, you have been aware of this. The pilot study, before going to the larger audiences, you are making the study that the pilot study, you can come to know that the what are the mistakes and the things which are need to be changed. Whether it has been rightly, it's nothing but the work. The pilot study is rightly conceived by the others. So I'm saying that uh, in a something I've been asking. It is an how you've been understood the GST. The GST is good for our country growth. So this is what the statement. Do you think that it is really the country needs to implement the GST at this time? This likewise the statement you have been proposing. It should consumed by the others, the readers, the same way. You have been telling that want to get their opinions. You're not constructing anything on the statement here. You're not confining anything. That is very clear. Okay, you're not confining anything, and that you have been respecting to the respondent's view. You're trying to get the respondent's view, and the respondent has the freedom to give his opinions. Marai, that is what very important. See, you need to give a respect to the when you collect, especially the data sets, response from the respondents, because the same way it does need to be happened by the respondent. Respondent need to understand the whatever I'm giving, keeping the opinions that is going to be researchers completely agreed without any discussions, and it has been reviewed further. That is what it is the understanding. References, work plan, references, appendices, and one by one we'll see that ethical consideration is very important. The clearance must be short and uptime at the proposal stage with the student and the supervisors. But see, sometimes you need to do some clinical research or something. You need to take ethical considerations. That is the very important alignments, especially those where people are doing scientific research. And in the social science also such domain which is very contemplated areas, you need to focus. You need to better you can get the ethical considerations. You should not disclose. For example, you are conducting a sociology or conducting a study related to HIV patients, and the HIV patients information you cannot disclose that to anyone. Am I right? This is what the ethical considerations. You cannot be disclosed to anyone, and very important that you have to maintain that confidentiality, because he's declaring something which is about his views and things. Then you have to be maintain that confidentiality. You have been giving the guarantee to the person before get at the same time he's trusting on you. That is very ethical considerations. Report writing, it has a clear thoughts, it has a complete and self-explanatory. What is the self-explanatory? You can understand. See, for example, wherever it is necessary, you can keep the abbreviations and the explanations wherever it is necessary. And then comprehensive but compact, and accurate in all aspects. It has suitable format for the readers. It supports facts and factual. It has an impersonal style. It has a proper date and signature, report writing. So when it was all those things, it was very important. Report writing in the end, which is date and signature, is very important because when it was the conducted and all those things, the suitable formats for the readers. Who can be the readers? Very important. You have to designate who can be the readers. And nowadays, you need to understand that all the top institutions, they wanted to disclose. They are getting a synopsis. You've seen that the top institutions, they wanted to keep the synopsis, and the regional language, the convert, and keep them for the social purpose, which is to need understand everyone. It's a very informative way. Whatever you have done your research, that you have to disclose to the public view. Uh, that is also nowadays it's required in the top institutions. Even some institutions are mandated to follow that. You have to give the synopsis. Synopsis, yeah, synopsis is things fine. That they are asking, universities are asking that the regional language you have to translate your entire research and in the sense the synopsis, and you have to proceed. So this is expected in the top institutions, because the whatever you have been discovering or whatever your argument should reach even the common society. The results and discussion, if you just analyze your data, it's time to write up. Focus on the key results, be clear and concise. Don't go into the too much of detail. Let your pictures do not do the talking. And however, be careful not to omit anything, which is the results and discussions. Uh, that's the reason we sometimes we keep our visualizations. Now today people are talking with more into the visualizations. Sometimes they in the science finance, I've seen that people are using more into that diagrams. So diagrams will explain more easiest way to, in the sense, communicate. Then nobody is having a see time to more time. The readers might not have that much time or interest to focus on your study. It is immediately have to grasp. Otherwise, what is the best way to the making grasp positions? It is to use the visualizations. Focus on the key results, the risk the discussion, which is whatever you have been key results. Be clear and concise. Use that. That's the reason you have to go with the formal language. That's what I told you, that the formal language is very important to discuss anything. Don't go into the too much of detail. It's just an, see, already readers are aware who the targeted person. We cannot targeting to everyone. As a, see, at this there is always the limitations. The limitations. Uh, it is not describing everything and then in aspects which is what is GDP. So GDP has increased to something like that percentage has increased while writing an article. It's fine. So because whom are the readers, they need to have some kind of a prerequisites. At least they should understand what is GDP. Okay, then it is, see, it is not your a job that every time you have to express what is that something which is new, which has not been practiced in common people's the theme is new. Then you can be focused. You can keep in the appendix the introduction. You can keep that. And then make your results, when your results are discussions, use the percentage symbols, and percentage will be the more easiest way to compare. And even though it is taking in numbers, that's why we always say that the percentile will take us and representing the while discussing the tables and figures. And discussions, this section is four phases: interpret and explain your results, answer your research questions, justify your approach, critically evaluate your study. That is very, very important. Interpret and your results, answer your research questions, justify your approach, and critically evaluate your things. This is what are expected. And interpretation must have come up with the proper way. See, that is a way to interpret. You cannot be use more language, sorry, more sentences. Sentences here, which is very limited. You have to use very concise manner, very stringent to use the words. Very technical order you have to go. Very formal way you have to communicate. To answer your research questions, very important. Your discussion should be communicate your research questions. That is a hypothesis that you have been proposed in the method site, that you have to research design, that you have been whatever you have been proposed, that you have to talk. That is what the people are expecting. What is main interpretations or the your research questions. Justify your approach. Whatever the approach you have been made an attempt. See, always there is a limitations of any study that you have been carrying. See, any proposal themes or concepts, there is always have a criticisms. We cannot be, we cannot say that this criticism is completely ignored of any cases. That which means the criticisms are not there, which means there is no much research attempts. Even those who are researchers has made Nobel prizes, got the Nobel prize, but still it isn't criticism. The point of view is still there is a criticism. See, the criticism is good. It's nothing like you cannot expect your something is commented your research or things. The criticisms very interestingly, what the area which we are not been discussed, something which is we are not able to derive the best way of conclusions. That is what always expected. So better you can be disclose that as a limitation point of view, limitations of the study. And critically evaluate your study. You critically evaluate and what do you want to do propose. And critical evaluations, which means you have it's completely you can sell your opinions. It's the best way you can sell your ideas and concepts to someone. It is best thing. And conclusion and recommendations, which is suggestions with the conclusions. Too much short as the summaries of research and conclusion, they mentioned what they mean to your field. Recommendations. The recommendations has to come out from the whatever the facts and figures. Always, I've been my research guide used to say, data has to speak. Data need to speak. Data rather than you talk, data has to talk. That's what is very important. Data has to describe here. Whatever the data is ethically you have been collected and in a honest mode, which is that's what here the right way you've been collected, and then data is need to be talked. The conclusion is the summary part, which you have to narrow down. It's this part is very important. The conclusions, like a decision making. Do I proceed further? What is your opinions? It can be mixed of both. The concrete thing which is you have been deriving the conclusions from the facts and figures. You have anything like your experience, something like they end up with some generic words which is you can say as a limitation or something else. You have been polite to say like this is what the conclusions are. The recommendations to the company or whomever as the next person who take care of the research, and each recommendation should directly to make the conclusion. It should be reach the conclusion. It cannot be meant anything like a out of box thinking. So out of box is fine, but thing is it should be connect with uh, your research attempts. I cannot say about talk about the something like what is happening in other countries. No, see without understanding the other countries. See, I cannot talk about the Syria. So why the Syria government is doing this? So we need to understand that. We need to understand what is the actual problem. What is that? We need to understand it takes time to understand. Then only I can talk more about the Syrians problems. What is the real problem? Where it was started, and all those things are necessary. Yes. Differences when you cite the information, it's anything which you have been taken. You need to be have an. It's a liability to keep the references. Okay, it's a liability. There's nothing like you cannot take a privilege. It's a liability. You need to focus. You need to keep their names and then always check the instructor determine the which type of reference style, which like a APA style, IEEE, Howard style, MLA, which section of which referencing style are we following? That we have to be aware of this because all the university norms are different. Each universities are different norms they follow. Some universities are following APA style, some will be followed the IEEE. So all those things it just depends upon which referencing style that you've been it is mentioned you are specified. The appendices is very important. The appendices are more into the dissertations. Whatever you've been using something which is very important to disclose as an honesty disclosures. You can do that appendices. That's what I can say. Make a comment there. Honesty disclosures you wanted to keep in the appendices side. So some standards, some procedures, something with like a formula that you've been used, which it is very detailed, you like to narrate. Everything you can keep in the appendices side. Even the question is also what you use the instrument. That is also some results, something at the new attempts you have been done. That also you can make here. Report writing, see again, there's to sum up this, it has the references to relevant details, it follows the impartial approaches. It has an essential technical details. It presented in the lucid style. It is reliable document. It is arranged in the logical manner. So these are talking about the predominantly the research report writing. And so see, sometimes I've been sum up with the see, these are the in a general thing which is to write a research report writing. I've been taking to the next level, which is what is index journals are looking. So what is interactions according to them? What is the methodology? What is it? Because we cannot be more into detail because there is a restricted pages. Okay, restricted pages as like we don't have much freedom to whatever you write in the thesis. Okay, thesis presentations are different and the research papers are different. The presentations are different. That's what I've been taking to the next level, which is research paper index journals. So for any queries, things you can any queries and clarification, please put it in the chat box so that we'll discuss more in detail.
Sir,
Oh,
sir,
yes, ma'am.
will you please stop the presentation, sir, so that I can unmute them, sir. So if they are asking questions.
Okay, the index journals are there. Do I cover that portions or not?
After
It's
that,
there.
if
That's
you finish this, sir, then we can go for a question answer session.
very nice, man. Very nice. Very
Okay, sir.
nice.
Okay, sir.
Very. Yeah. So publishing and index journals, let me short out this. What is the origin of scholarly publishing? You can understand this indexing, or today we have been talking about the more into Scopus, Web of Science, scholarly journals. See, it was started in the year, you can look at this, the elsewhere is started when it was started in the year 15th century. After, as soon as the system which was the printing, the 14th century's printing press has come, the the first scientific journal was emerged in the 16th century itself, and the Philosophical Royal Society. You know that Royal Society is very important society which the all the thoughts and things. Even the Ramanujan, the mathematician Ramanujan, he has proposed his Royal Society. It's very like what you say. It is very highly intellectual people will contribute this kind of things, which is that is a Royal Society. No, like now, I like to say the differences, which is research types and audience and outputs. Academic research, the target audience, academic peers, research students in the, the academic knowledge market. These are the target audience. When you do the academic research, these are the target audience. Research outputs, papers, conference publications, research monographs, dissertations, and what kind of impact it creates. Journal impact factors. You can take up funding support from the awards and citations. People will cite your name. That will be the recognitions, the monetary recognition, the non-monetary recognitions. That is what the major outcome of your research. The practice-oriented research. The students, MDP participants, management practitioners, consulting clients. These people will be come out with this, which is the practice-oriented research. What is outcome here? Books, monographs, papers, articles, reports, and studies. What is the outcomes, the research impacts it will be? Industry adoption, intellectual property creations, the consulting practice. Nowadays, people are, even the academician also looking on the patents. Whatever I have been making as the new way of making a timetable. Sir, do I making a patents? Yes, of course. Yeah, it is having a, when it is something is new, you can make a patents. Or I'm introducing a new education system, the valuations, rubric setups. So do I have a, yes, patents is, yeah, if it's highly uh, competent or having a lifetime, you have a rights to take a patent. That's what, just for your kind information. The pedagogical development, sorry, the pedagogical development, trainer students, NDP people, and so what will come out with this management cases, business games, and what is the research impact it will be creating? Academic adaptations, intellectual property creations. This is something like a pedagogical development, like you've been making use of some new methods to using. See, like IAM are using the case study methodology. I've been using what is using pedagogical like case studies, the Indian context and worldwide context. They've been keeping their methodology, their adoptions are mainly focused on the case studies. And what is that? Every time they've been adding the values or whatever the concept they bring with the case studies. So that is the best way, no? Is what is that we generally adopt this whatever the others are emphasizing. The system has come. We try to take from the perception of the, the views of authors and take that we study. The whereas they are study something like what is industry likely to face. They try to cover up through the results. That is what they are. So they are making a more into the practice thing, and pedagogical has been developed from the case studies. problem is identified and the solution is given. That is what they can do. And cost to the research. Cost research is not a free. That's what I told you. The time is very important. Time and physical risk, psychological risk, anxiety, depressions, altered self-concept, loss of confidence in others, boredom, confidentiality, financial issues, negative stereotypes of the, for the professions. See, for example, all this thing which have been we are all experienced while doing the PhD, the time and efforts. So we need to get the leave while collecting a. We are all we face the problems, right? This is no one as exception. The here the time is invested. Sometimes you have to pay money to collect the data, and the physical risk is involved to collect the data. Is also is there psychological risk, anxiety is there. Sometimes you not get the what you expected, or some people are not appreciated well to your research. It's there. All those things are there. Confidentiality is there. Something social, legal. You cannot discuss all those things, whatever you wanted. That is just the confidentiality issues there. The financial issues. Research is more expensive nowadays. That's the reason that the people who come forward. There are agencies come forward. The government agencies and the private agencies come forward and keep invest the money to get the research. Right. This is not like a easiest way. And negative stereotypes of the professions, and you know that some people will have a attitude that always demotivating. It's there, the professional side which is always there. Why? What is the what makes you understand why you're doing investing money, time to doing some research, like a stereotypes review that you get. Potential benefits, basic knowledge, get rightly shaped, improvements of research or assessment techniques, practical outcomes, benefits for the research, the participants, further researchers. That is very important. So when we do not do the research, we are not rightly shaped. Improvement of the research, that's what very important. Even new education policy is emphasizing more into that research-based institution. You know that the segment, how they wanted to segment the institutions, research-based institutions, something like the research will gives more inputs to the others, so that whatever the outcomes will be very what is that well experienced. It is not a trial and error. That makes a lot of confusions. So even several times the government proposing agenda, it's just like a trial and error. It is there because it doesn't make any what the trial and error. It makes a lot of confusions or costlier effects. And the peer review that like to take the peer review helps to see the people are talking about the terms. I think the peer review helps to determine the validity, significance, and the originality research, helps to improve the quality of papers. Publication in peer-reviewed journals protects the author's work. Claim to authorships. Publishers have ensured the sustainability of journals in the peer review systems over the 300 years, which is the peer review. The cost to managing the peer review process, the publishers stand outside the academic process and not see. It's a peer review, something like the outstand the people who are having a well experienced domain experts, they review your papers. That is what it is, PR review. It is a completely that the other version, which is independent review. There are 3 people or 4 people, domain experts, will receive your papers and they rated your paper where you need to change and where the conceptual is not clear. So like they give a remarks on that your paper. That's called the PR review. Journal rankings based on the how it will be. That's what I showed in that the when there is a impact factors, all those things, you have been H index, all those things. You should know that while taking the papers. Why I forgot to emphasizing the papers while collecting the review of literature itself. You focus on the which is more into more cited paper. You opted that, okay, so that it will have more, which means you will have more ideas to proceed further. Third journal, 4th level journals, which is a paid journals, which may not have any making sense. I told you that it is just on a copy paste. just copying from the reputed journals paper, and then they proceed. And moreover, they just sometimes they just copy it from the, even there are publishing agencies are there, they take it from the Wikipedia, then they just publish, that's it. No, just an internet references they publish also. It doesn't make any sense. You'll not take any clarity in that. The hygiene factors, which is taken, the impact factors, which is citations, how many citations, average number of citations. Hygiene factor, it is rating the total importance of scientific journal according to the number of incoming citations. SCI mega journal rank, that is scientific influence of scholarly journals, which is both the number of citations received by journals. It is very important, the citations. Now the journals are referred, how much it is cited, where it has been cited. That's just how much it is citation, it is very important. Where it is cited. Are they cited by the top people, or it is referred by, renowned researchers? That is also will describe the journals. That's the reason the journal ranking. That's the reason the journals are very particular about their receiving the papers. That's the reason they want to stand. They want to stand in the market. Even if you see that uh, the leading publishers, publishing house, Taylor and Francis, or we see that the any publishing house serving more than 100 years, they are always focusing on more into their what is that they are particular about, they are very cautious about their receiving the papers. H index usually used to measure the scientific productivity and scientific impact of an individual as a scientist. So I want to tell that it is there is a formula always. You can don't confuse with that. There is a formula. It is all not this is not our sections, because we are not going to calculate all those things. That is a press. It is already calculated and rated it as based on that. So that way I'll be explaining to you. Source normalized impact factors. Yeah, factors released in the 2012 the elsewhere. It's the elsewhere. I told you the elsewhere based on the Scopus estimate. Each journals which is having their, there are different kind of the index. I want to tell that all those things. H5 index, expert survey, and publication power approaches, PPA, Almetrics, DAM score. These are the different kinds of the ranking scores, which is the will tell that each have their own methodology, right? Their own methodology and schema that they set up. See, it's a very simple example. You know that the credit rating agencies, the credit rating agencies themselves, they have uh, their own methodology to describe the company potentiality. Am I right? So similarly here, the index journal has been ranking based on the different kind of the factors has been evaluated. How to get a published in a research journals into a peer review? What steps do I need to before write paper? How can I ensure the using the proper manuscript language? How do I build a proper article properly? So, like, let me take the what is strong manuscript as a clear, useful, exciting messages presented in a constructed and logical manner. Reviewers and editors in the grasp significantly easily. That is very important. So you cannot the that's the reason is a formal language, very without any abusing language. Very systematically, you have been presenting your views. That is called as the manuscript, strong manuscript, with a clear, useful, exciting. Even whatever you have been taking a small description, very small atoms, even uh, very conceptual, you are giving an information. You should have that clarity. Editors or reviewers are all are busy people, make things easy to save their times. It is like we always say, no, it is like a first impression is the best impression. Likewise, even though you have been having a very good tools and things, when it doesn't, your paper may not have that clarity, strong manuscript, that is strong, useful, clear and useful, exciting messages, then it is uh, may not be right way it is appreciated by the reviewers. That is one of the reasons even though some are telling that my paper is so good, I did this very hard, but the manuscript is not accepted. The reason we are not keeping in the very useful way. We are keeping ourselves. We know that because we are a researchers. We are attempting for the 2 years, 3 years time we are spending. We ourselves know that all the terminologies which has been used in the research paper, the others may not have a time to understand. Grasping is very important. manuscript language, that's it, write with the clarity, objectivity, accuracy, and the brevity. Key to successful manuscript writing is to be alert the common errors, sentence and constructions, incorrect sentences, mixing of the language. That is very, very important. The sentence constructions. The better we have today tools like constructive tools with like software tools like Grammarly and other things are there. Many things are there. You can use that so that it is not a language is not a barrier to write a papers which is even in addressing to the indexing journals. Manuscript language use use of tense, abstract and summary is the past tense. Interaction is the present tense. Methods and materials is the past tense. Discussion is the past and present tense. This way you can go. This is what the manuscript is expected uh, from the top journals, peer reviewed journals. Right? Direct and short sentences. Long sentences confuse readers. Short sentences look more professionals. Nowadays, average length of the sentence scientific writing is about 12 to 17 words. See, whatever we are expressing within the restricted words will tell that. Okay, no need to have a more explanation because they that is what they are the reviewers, because they knew everything, because they whatever the research which is a particular domain, even the computer science, physics, uh, the language which you used, no need to express more into detail. They understood that because they are the having enough experience with that domain. And what is the process of writing, building the article, title and abstract, conclusion, introduction, methods, results and discussion, figures and tables. And corresponding authors, who can be the corresponding authors? You need to disclosing that authors 1, 2, author 2, 3. So wherever you have been approaching the paper, sending a paper, there's a first author, second co-authors, and the co-authors. These are corresponding authors. You have to understand that here the ethical consideration. We have to be very careful. The ethical consideration. The person whose his name is second, he's then co-authors. His contribution may be very less compared to the first authors. You have to understand that. Okay, this is the very important. Who's the first author and second author? That's the reason some universities are well going to the evaluation sites. So first author will get more weight. The abstract is a freely available electronic abstracting indexing, which is this is advertisement of your article, makes it interesting and easy to understand without reading a full article. Must be accurate and specific. That's very important. The abstract will leads to you to the next level. See, something is insights I'm getting about the articles. They have been telling that does the COVID will give the better examples for the new financial management. Something they have been making a title, which is very attractive title. I want to know that what is how they've been successfully managed in the during the COVID time, the financial efficiency. So all this thing I want to know that. That's the reason the abstract. I've been more particular about the abstract. The abstract will take to the next level. The interactions, be very clear at the following: what is the problem, what is your aims, what is your hypothesis, what is the significance of your work, what is your done before balanced. That's what the interactions are required. Methods include the detailed information that do not repeat the previously published established procedures. Identify the equipment, describe the materials that you use. Methods, what are the methods you have been using? Something like very say you have been using some basic formula, like someone's formula. It has been already described. You need not to explain the like a whole formula. See, something like a very specific formula that you have been using. It's a regression that you have been using the models which have been the models. So you want to take a new models or proposing a new models, you can explain that models. So what is that x1, x2, x3? Like if you want to express that, it's fine. But sometimes if you are using formula which is already established, the people are aware of this, no need to explain that there things. No need to repeating. That's what see, this is what expected in the research paper. The pages is very limited. Your space is limited. The research, what you found, it's a very clear. Use the clear figures and tables, summarize the data. Do not duplicate the tables and figures in the text. Caption should be used stand alone. The data represented should be easy to interpret. That is very, very important. Use clear figures and tables. So how you can be give the valuable tables, that is very important. See, it is an art to present the table. It is not like you need to describe everything on the tables. What you want to disclose, see, for example, you wanted to tell that your regression results, you don't need to have much values. So what is the r square and adjusted r square? That itself tells that the model is fits for that, or f values, f ratios. That is more enough to describe your model sets. No need to explain the this values, that values. You need not to describe that, because people understood that. And moreover, the table should not be very the clearest manner, which is whatever you're getting producing from the softwares are giving and just copying there. It's not been right way. You have to keep the tables in a right way, and right tables will be uh, tells that the easiest way, the attractions very important, and use that right way of right mix of diagrammatic representation also. It's need to be used very clear, when to use or where to use. Need not to be describe all the tables below that. You need to keep one diagrammatic. That is not a correct way. So wherever you want to explain, when it is having a simple, when it is a high frequency data that you have been used, for example, 2000 data sets that have been used, you need to set it, you need to explain that trend, even though it is a descriptive statistics you have been shown to us. I want to show that the graph is fine, that is a line diagram. So you need to opt the right diagrams. It's a right diagrams. The line diagrams will explain, okay, I can understand what is the ups and downs. Is it a steady, or it's a linearity kind of a growth is there, or what kind of a growth it is. I can easily get a communication from this, not even referring the table. This diagrammatic representation is more easy, mostly used, easy to understand the positions. And results, figures, and tables. See, I wanted to tell that the results, figures, and tables, you need to describe most efficient represent today. It's a driving force of the publications. It is a self-explanatory, but that is what today's are expecting. Captions and legends must be detailed enough to make figures and tables self-explanatory. What do you mean by self-explanatory? For example, you have been aware of this. Below the table, we write something. The primary data, sources primary data. Put this asterisk mark and put this significant at 5% level. As something like variable, if you want to define, uh, sometimes we use the abbreviations of the variables. You want to make use of that, you want to make a name of this, or sometimes you use some formula to derive that variables. And you make that, okay, what is that, the formula. So it's all self-explanatory. The table itself, no need to have an get an explanation in somewhere. The table, the data, and the tables will explain this. A very precise language used. 5% at significant level, that it understood. Okay, what is 5% significant level? That is the t values or f values. What is that? It is indicates easily to communicate. There's nothing wrong that using the asterisk mark as some symbols to derive the to denote this. It's actually denotes. Avoid the duplication of results described in the text or other illustrations. Discussions, which is very important. I told you that you are getting a chance to sell your data. Make your discussions correspond to the results. Do not ignore work in disagreement with yours. They confront and convince the readers that you are the correct, better, and discuss the limitation and implication of your results. You need to compare the published results with yours. So I told you that someone is going to receive your views, because it's very difficult making them to listen. Okay, you are getting a chance. You have to use that. Okay, that's the discussions. Any researchers, you are getting a discussion is very important area. You can focus on that. So it should not be biased. That is what I've been saying. One reason, one condition, it cannot be biased. You cannot force your ideas, views. That cannot be. So whatever you have been drawn the conclusion from the facts and figures, you take it to the discussions. That is what you're expecting. That is what discuss expected from uh, the reputed journals. The conclusions which be very clear, justified, it suggests the future experiments. All those things very important to go to further. And make it references at the site, the main references. I told you that do not use too many references. Avoid excessive self-citation. So sometimes you are using your one research paper for your further journals, further work. Don't keep that more into self-citations. Avoid the excessive citations of obligation from the same region. Use the more other regions, which is So even though it is something is a problem is in India, may have this same problem in Ethiopia or somewhere it may happen. You can take that. Not nothing the perception. See, if you are exclusively focusing on India or something like the problem is only in India, then you can restrict to the regions. Okay, but if you're it is throughout the country, throughout the world, it's just like then you can focus on that. Even you can consider the other region also. So like I'll make it very fast, which is determine the very ready to publish, which is what is very important. Original results of methods, rationalizing, refining the reinterpreting and the results, reviewing the summarizing the particular subject or field, and why the papers are mostly rejected in the peer regions. The answer is plagiarisms. You have to understand the plagiarism. We have to acknowledge or we need to what to say admit ourselves this is what the reasons plagiarisms. So now they've been using the advanced tools, the referred journals, there have been people are using the advanced tools to uh, see check that plagiarism. They wanted to be certain level percentage if the plagiarism is allowed because some common statement, otherwise they are not allowing. Each sentence has to be modified, the new versions, even though the context is same, the the phrasing a sentence should be changed. Likewise, there's what is expected. The plagiarisms are meaning here the copying from the source, the pretending you write yourself the cheating, the copying a source. See, even if you are not disclosing, see, someone ideas you are not disclosing, that itself plagiarisms. That's the plagiarism. He understood that your own ideas. And I've seen that it is not quoted anyone names, which means it is your credit. Using a source and saying it is a different source. Also cheating if an accident. Then how we can be avoid the plagiarism issues, make it as citations. The citations is very important tools. The plagiarism software, these are the plagiarism softwares a little bit. So people are uh, using the Turnitin is the predominantly. I authenticate is predominantly people are using this all referred journals. Apart from that, these are the things which plagiarism software. Before putting the plagiarism software, be careful because somewhere it has been stored and they may able to reuse your articles. So use the better professional tools. Don't use that. There'll be a there are many .com oriented plagiarism tools. Don't use that. Okay, that is what my advice because you have been keeping your documents there, then it will be go to that someone hands. They reuse that. Index. So these are the I already mentioned this, and this is the formula which how they narrow down the impact factors because some journals which they emphasize themselves five. It's not a correct. See, there are the agencies are there. The correct agencies will give the correct numbers, which is impact factors. Okay, that we have to see that. So these are the things to discuss now. So one thing which is actually so there are the ABDC is also there. There's Scopus, um, other Web of Science. So there something this is the something is new Australian ABDC Business Deans Council ABDC journals. You can more focus on this because people are now they have been talking about the ABDC things, which is especially in the management field, which is they have been more recognitions comes. They've been defining the ABDC like journals are classified into the segmentations, and this is more into the recognized in current scenario. It's Scopus. Scopus also the indexes journals repeatedly taking an action oriented. They are not follow their conditions. They are not matching with their requirements. Immediately remove the index. So that is also is there. Immediately review is happening. This is something new ABDC. The people who are targeting for the management oriented, it is. Uh, this is most cited papers. I'm not able to disclose. Paul Samuelson. This is an economist things, which is Paul Samuelson, Metten, Black and Scholes papers, which is more people are used. This is most cited papers. So that's all about participants. Any doubts and clarification? One more thing, which is sample size determination. There are the software tools are predominant tool which is you can use G Power 3. Okay, G Power 3 is the tool which it's a very easy to it's an open source. You can please download this. You can just experience yourself. G Power 3. If any doubts, you can just you can write a mail to me. I'll explain because it's not time permit to explain this G Power 3. This is just a software which it's the easiest software, usable software, and tells that the how what is the sample size determinations. It tells that. So if you are doing a primary data, so if you can use the G Power 3 as an tools, so that whenever the time which is advocate and in the sense the thesis time, which is what you call discussion time, you can tell that it probably can say that the G Power 3 have been used and this much sample size have been taken. So apart from that, there is a statistically there is a evaluation method is there. Evaluation method in the sense to determine the sample size. Also use that. Okay, that is nothing wrong with that. This is something which is contemporary. It's just modern. You can use that. So thank you very much. Any doubts and clarifications always welcome. Uh, it's it's pleasure to have your questions. You can write the mail, which is sridhar@sjcc.edu.in. This is my mobile number. Anything in this regard, the research you can very well approach. Thank you very much. Any questions you can let me.
Thank you, sir. Sir, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir, so I can
Yeah.
unmute? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Participants, if you have any queries, please raise your hands.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. The wonderful
Good evening.
session, sir, for
Good evening. Thank
giving
you.
me the best guidance in your research article, sir. So
Thank you,
my
ma'am.
question, sir, I'm Bhagya from Erode Arts and Science College, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, how many samples we will collect for a good article or research paper? Any guidelines is there, sir?
Okay, ma'am. That's the reason you can refer the sample size determination, ma'am. That G Power 3, you please use the G Power 3. And it will have a methodology that you know that alpha and beta. The power test actually it has been used. It is easy to understand that the G Power 3 mechanisms. It tells that how much is the samples will be more effective to collect, and then you can what you call you can proceed further as an analysis. So, and that is the best way, ma'am. You can even what kind of a study we carry, that is important. For example, I've been understanding the stock market, why this is happening, and why the deviations are huge. I want to know from the expertise view. I want to restrict it with the who those who are having in the highest experience in the market. I want to get their opinion. Then I have a very limited samples, 1 or 2, 3, 5, maximum 5, 10. That's a I cannot go beyond that. So it is up to the research uh, topics that you have been choosing. Through that you can do this. This is what the one of the idea, or you can go for the sample size determination softwares. Is that fine, ma'am? Bhagyalakshmi, ma'am, is that fine?
She muted, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Any other questions, ma'am? Many are.
Yes, yes. Vidya, ma'am?
Yeah, I would
Yes.
like to ask a question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding sample determination, you have told that we have to go in for a software.
Yes, ma'am.
So I can't understand this topic, sir.
Sample size determinations, it is sample is when it is adequacy, ma'am. Your data is so it's strong. That is what actually. Sometimes the cost and time is important to collect the data right now. That's
Yes,
that's the
yes.
conditions. Sampling, you need to have the fair justification. We are giving a fair justification to collect whatever the study. So in these conditions, you can just use this G3 sample size determination tools now. It doesn't just you can get in the your Play Store, or you can download it. It just experience once. If you have any queries in this regard, you can let me answer this now. So if you are able to, because it's very simple, it is very understandable, very usable. I've seen many research papers. They've been stating that G3 has been used to determine the sample size. And the sample size, it's just we have, if you have time to do more samples, man, that is fine, because sample is an adequacy is very important. But at the same time, we don't have time. That is what my intention. Nobody is going to what do you call it? Restricting anything like collecting all the samples. And moreover, the collecting a right size of a sample, right person. That is what very important. Right person and right sample. That is very important. Even a 10 sample you have been collecting from the right way. That is more way to interpret.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I have published an article in Scopus Index Journal. Later, when I check my name in Scopus author score, after 1 month, now I am not finding my name in Scopus score list.
Okay.
What might be the reason? This is the question.
Sir, it is regarding the journal policy, there's a Scopus thing. If they are not making a right amount of citations, if their impact factors are low, then automatically they've been removed that's from this section of index, because they have some standard. If they are below that standard, the journals are get removed. As usual, you have been aware of the UGC CAR list has been removed in the recent years. Many journal lists has been removed because they are not producing anything which is intellectually. That is what the meaning here. Similarly, if you are your index journals are so you can, so during that phase of time it was index. Am I right? That is what you have been talking. Am I right? So you can be very well argue that. So your whatever you have been published, that was indexed. During till that time, it was successfully they were contributed. Later, it was changed to that. That is what you are. So you can be very well contributed that you have been published in the Scopus journals. No one can take away your rights. That is what I can say. Even though now it is taken what do you call it, removed from the Scopus list, but you have a rights to claim that I have published the Scopus papers.
Okay, so there is another question in the chat box. Can you suggest how to prepare an article by using secondary data, sir?
Secondary data and type of data which in mostly it is a finance, and where that data are already unlimited data is there, like a stock market, your data is there. You are not going to collect the data. And government data, which is like a GDP and other informations already published to the public note. You can use that information. No need to collect once again. The secondary data, which is it is most successful. Many times you see that economics, it has been developed by the economics concept, the theories are more uh, successfully tested through the secondary data. Its economics is not doing anything on the primary data. You have been seeing that many times. The secondary data is using to explore the many concepts and derivations successfully. So secondary data you can do into finance and economics oriented research, and something which is there. There is a no data. You can go for the primary data study. And
Sir,
if you
one more question, sir.
yes, ma'am.
Sir, with regard to Scopus journal, it is the plagiarism. It is allowed that up to 15%.
Yes, ma'am.
While we are doing the research on finance, sir, mutual fund, with regard to NAV and the other details, it may be going beyond 15% plagiarism. So will they accept, sir? Finance journal, will they accept, sir, secondary data?
It is nothing like, ma'am, it is, the question is,
You have told me, as you right now you have told me that secondary data, so they are their permissible limit is up to 15% only scopus, while we are using secondary data, as you have told, stock market and mutual fund information, it will be more than 15%. So is
Okay,
there
okay.
any restriction on the part of the scopus, sir? Will there be
Okay, ma'am. I understand. The question is, what is the standard size of the plagiarisms? It is, as you said, it is 15%, 10%. What you can do the best way, ma'am, told you that the contents are maybe same. Sometimes you want to say that we cannot change everything as a new. Okay, see, we can, with the facts and figures, everything will be, we have been taking from our own collections. So that it doesn't take, what do you call it? It is
Yes,
not a
we
plug.
only do interpretation, only we do.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
the other facts will be the same.
Yes, ma'am. For
Secondary
example,
data.
yes, ma'am. For
Yes.
example, small is beautiful. This is the statement. This
Yes.
you can. Yeah, this is anybody can use that. Small is beautiful. Or
Yes, sir.
yeah, brave it is. Fortune is brave. Fortune is makes brave it for the sorry. Brevity makes comfortable to the so fortunate to the brevity. Likewise, there are the comfortable statement is there already. The generic statements are there. If you are using that very well, you can make a quotations. You can use the quotations. Sometimes it's a generic statement that you use, so that you can narrow down your plagiarism amount. Or otherwise, you can the content may be the same. You can change the language one. Language setup you can change instead of the activize to passivize.
So
Likewise, you can.
okay, even the finance journal, the NAV and the NAV will remain the same, sir.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
in that I can change the content in a beautiful manner,
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes,
so
ma'am.
that
You
the
can.
plagiarism I can avoid.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the brokerage charges, NAV, and the other top 6 mutual fund, the names, everything, is it possible to change, sir?
No,
Because
ma'am. That we cannot change. That we cannot
yeah,
change, ma'am. That cannot be changed. And
yes,
we
sir.
can very well advocate. And moreover, this reviewers also understand that system, the softwares are generated in such a way that is that's the name which is nowadays it's a very algorithm as presented. Like you say the HDFC mutual funds. HDFC, they knew that this is a technical term which you cannot change. They cannot be considered as plagiarisms. Likewise,
Yes.
already instigate to the algorithm writers now. It cannot be taken as a your HDFC mutual funds may not be considered as a plagiarisms. And
Because why
similarly,
such doubt has arisen, I wanted to publish the paper on financer
okay,
with
ma'am.
regard to mutual fund, the top blue chip fund. I wanted to publish the paper. So the blue chip fund, top blue chip fund, the secondary data, I am going to use the same as you have told how stock market publishing the papers. In the same way, I am going to do publish mutual fund. So when I am using the secondary data, when I am doing it in the Scopus, the plagiarism, that's what I am asking you, sir. That is the doubt I wanted to ask you, sir. The one more question, impact factor, what do you mean by that, sir? Impact factor.
How much it is cited in the sense next level taking to your research. I've been taking your research. I've been considering your research idea. So I conceive the ideas from your research. I'm taking to the next level. That is what the actually the impact factors. The
Okay, sir.
society
Thank you so
how
much.
great, man. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, sir.
So one more question, give some suggestions to publish chapters in books.
Chapters in books, you can take a monographs or sometimes you have been aware of these monographs. You want to establish a new concept. You want to talk into more in pure perceptions. You can publish the monographs. This is what the first idea. You have been talking about the book chapters. It is up to the where and what kind of publishers, which is they have on their own standard. For example, if you have been elsewhere or anything like book chapters you want to proceed, they have their own standard. This is what the words that you have to use. What is their expectations? Mostly it is their topics are expected should be contemporary. They are expecting in the contemporary note. And in the book chapters, you have huge freedom to give your ideas. That's what I told you, that books and the research papers. Books have your own conceived ideas, your experience, you can be shared in the books. Whereas the research papers, we cannot do. We can restrict a no bias because it goes directly accepting the society, taking to the next level. That is the, but books, it is more into knowledge gaining or getting into the more into awareness stage, whereas the research paper conceiving and more into the deliberation oriented. That is what the difference. Easily you can do that book chapters, which but all the book chapters are expected. Today see, if see that water economics or something like a new concept, whatever they exploring new concept, the people are expecting to write the chapters, not the old one, the digital marketing or something like a new concepts. The people wanted to know better clarification explanations. That is what the book chapters are expecting. The COVID impact in the MSME, likewise the people are expecting. Now the I've seen many book chapters are asked to write in that area, pandemic situation, how the industries are surviving, what kind of the stimulus packages the governments will they are giving, other countries are giving to compensate the losses faced by the companies. It is also there. There's up to that. What anything this book chapters, you need to focus on more into the contemporary. That is what you do. It is which fund of publishers you have been choosing. That is that makes a sense.
The last question, how to check reliability of questionnaire?
Reliability of a questionnaires, there is a method to do that in SPSS. That is a reliability questions that you can conduct that. And moreover, the reliability is just to see that which is you know that the questionnaires, social science, you have been using nominal, ordinal, interval and ratios. This composition you have been using to frame the question. And you need to understand which is the scale, which is not scale. And something like the scale which you have been using, arbitrary scaling, or like you yourselves, you have been defining some scale that cannot be scale. The scale means having a uniform weights, uniform measurements. That is what the scale. And the thing is, which is sorry, I forgot the question. Which is I forgot. Ma'am, sorry, sorry for the interruption. What was the question? I forgot this.
How to find the reliability of questionnaires?
Yeah, reliability. Okay, the checking, which is the conceptual checking, whether the question is rightly has been asked, whether the question is covered. See, first you have to see that you have been framing the objectives, and then the objectives need to be covered up with your questions. So whatever you have been asking to me, it's ultimately need to satisfy your objectives. You have carry some objectives, it needs to be answered your objectives. That is what this the research means. Once answer your questions, answer your things, answer your doubts, answer your assumptions. That is what it is. So in this case, you have been proposing whatever the thing with here, the questionnaire validity you can do through the SPSS. There is a validity instruments are there. You can do that. This is statistically measure how it has been reliable. It is very much ordered, and this will not understand. The statistical tools may not understand whether the psychologically it is right way. It is right way. So you cannot ask the question which is something which is in order. The or whether it is see illogically, if you ask the questions, that may not be right way. See, for example, if you are taking that you are asking that have you ever heard about this like the pandemic, see some regular question that you have been asking, the person may not aware of this. If you say, he says that no, he's saying that no, but he's taking the next level questions. That means next level question is supposed to not to take that. If he's aware of this, then he can give the reasons. Otherwise, he cannot give the reasons. If I'm not aware of this, what is happening in this particular industry, why I cannot give my comments. That way you have to set the comments and the structure. I told you that the questionnaire making is something is which is an art. That's what always you have to refer more questions before, say, especially the primary data. What is your basic one? Something like a framing the questionnaire is 50% of job is over, and collecting a job is 50% is over. Forget about the any tools that you have been applying. That see, collecting a data rightly you have been instrumented, and collecting a data in a right way. That's itself right. Even you have been simple what you call description is giving about your whatever your collected data. It's a quantifications. It is more enough not to give any statistical tools, not to give any kind of things. You have been giving a right question, framing a right question, and collecting in a right way, and that's it. It is about the primary study concern. Not don't worry about any statistical tools. Statistical tools just for making your what you call glittering, all those things. You have been just an arrangement, next level arrangements. So even though it is the reliability test you can do in things, I think you can check in the SPSS, there is a reliability test. The cron for alpha is there. Cron for alpha is 0.75 is mandate. You follow this. If anything which is less than that, you have to redefine your questions. You have to see that. Okay, this is what the reliability related, as per my knowledge. Anything else?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So we'll end this session. So I call Kalayasan sir to give vote of thanks.
Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of the Department of Commerce, Shift 2 and IQAC, first of all, I express my sincere thanks to God Almighty for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we are able to make the event what it was. I give a really heartfelt thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Sridhar, Assistant Professor and Research Supervisor, St. Joseph College of Commerce, Autonomous, Bangalore, who spent his busiest time gracing the occasion. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and for your excellent coverage on report writing and publication in indexed journals. I thank our management, Reverend Brother Arukya Raj, Director and Secretary, Dr. Fatima Vasant, Academic Director, Dr. Usha George, Principal, Vice Principals, Dr. Geeta Rufus, Dr. Meena, for their support and encouragement in organizing this 8 days professional development program. I express my sincere thanks to all the participants for active participation in this PDP. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our department faculty, Dr. Sweetie Regina Mary, Head Department of Commerce Shift 2, and Professor Janardhanam for their wonderful support and coordination in organizing this PDP. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.